what Ready, Aim, Win and the structure I put together, it's an easy illustration of how to keep it simple.
Welcome back to For Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs, episode 3. I want to welcome today my buddy, Jay Lieberman. I'm on the East Coast. He's on the left coast over there, the West Coast. You can see from his shirt, if you're watching this, he's a little bit more laid back than us East Coast guys. Jay, I've known for, 5 or 6 years. He is one of the coolest, funniest dudes you've ever met. I've told him many times, we're not going to go into this today because he's got a specific program he wants to talk about today. But I told him his money could be made being the stand-up realtor because he's got such a great personality. I love this guy. So Jay, welcome to For Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs.
Thank you, brother. And by the way, this is a Hawaiian shirt, and I also caught the left side of the coast. So is it just, what do you got, something against California, I suppose?
No.
Is that what it is?
I love you, man. I love you.
My Hawaiian California shirt.
All right, Jay. So for our listeners that don't know you, viewers that don't know you, give us a little bit of your backstory and what business are you in?
Sure. I have a kind of a multitude of things that I do because for 2 reasons. One is, and when we talk about Ready, Aim, Win, kind of some of the product and stuff that I teach some new agents and people are based on, is because I get super bored super fast and have to be doing something different at any given time. And the second is multiple streams of income. It's always been like harped into me since I was a kid. I always saw my father doing, he's an architectural interior designer. I also saw him building real estate, building office buildings, buying and selling stuff. I saw him investing in other businesses and stuff. So it's always was kind of like ingrained in me to do multiple streams. And so I started back in 1992, graduated college, went to law school for a few years, 95, came out, and they were donut legal jobs back in that market for some reason, at least in LA. So in lieu of taking a piece of crap in the basement, working 5,000 hours a day kind of legal job, I went into real estate development. Local real estate development company here in LA. We were based in Westwood, actually, and moved to Beverly Hills and then the west side of LA, and that was kind of our base of operations. But over time, I spent about 16 years there and slowly built myself up from the guy in a suit. We used to wear suits back then, ties and everything, carrying drywall during tenant improvement jobs at buildings we owned, getting dust in my little Dexter shoes with the holes in it, all the way to, when I was probably 4 or 5 years later, started building up and became chief operating officer of the company, and then eventually departed back in 2010, when most of the time I was taking bank calls during the recession as we were defaulting on stuff versus having fun leasing calls. We had stuff all over. I got my taste in every asset class, from mixed use, multifamily, industrial, warehouse, retail, everywhere, all over the country. We had assets, a couple out of the country. And then, again, all hell broke loose, and it started to become not fun for anybody. And I'm still partners with them, still friends with them, all very tight because you become a family that long. But went off in 2010 and started a consulting firm called Bridgepoint Realty Group, where we did mainly consulting on acquisition and disposition services for what I did essentially and got paid for, and now I was consulting for, which was helping people have a shopping center and how do I merchandise it better. I'm buying a shopping center, would you do all the due diligence for me, start to finish? I'm selling it, would you help me unwind my loan, et cetera, et cetera. So all those kind of services. I added on to that then the brokerage, not for myself and my company, but brokerage for others. Third-party brokerage became a component of that. So I, and along with my wife, started a small brokerage company, aligned myself with Keller Williams. We're Coldwell Banker originally, but then Keller Williams, we did residential and commercial real estate. We still do that today. We've been doing that for over 10 years. I'm also a real estate attorney, so kind of like an overall umbrella of real estate. I do practice real estate law with a partner. We have a very small firm, and we really do a lot of real estate matters, but specialize a lot in tenant representation and lease transactions, specifically, really kind of focused. And over that whole course of time, what I found, since I was 25 years old and bought my first apartment building in LA when I was 25 and got married, is there's overcomplication in the real estate arena. especially in the acquisition stuff. I've always had my own assets, touch and go here and there at any given time, little apartments, a little office building or something like that. There was always overcomplication in the process. And it started when I bought my first asset back when I was 25 years old. I overcomplicated the hell out of it, got super embarrassed. And at that point developed kind of a plan on how I was going to approach real estate for the rest of my life, which became the genesis of Ready, Aim, Win back in the day.
So you dabble in a little bit everything real estate wise.
And Bitcoin.
And Bitcoin. You're still doing the Bitcoin?
A little bit.
So, I would categorize, we're trying to dig into a superpower on for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. I would say yours is analyzing deal flow or deals or transactions. And that's why you have built Ready, Aim, Win approach. And do you think that's an accurate assessment, Jay?
It is. It's really kind of the encapsulation of how to analyze something really fast with high accuracy and creating simplicity around it, which are really the three pillars of Ready, Aim, Win. It's simplicity, accuracy, and speed. And they solved those three problems that I had when I was 25 years old. That was my kind of, if you call this the origin story, that would be the origin story of Ready, Aim, Win, which I can get into that story real quick and explain it in a minute or two when we get there.
So simplicity, accuracy, and speed. Is this just for commercial transactions?
It's for all real estate acquisitions,
Okay.
everything. This particular Ready, Aim, Win is really focused on multifamily because that's really a lot of bread and butter that a lot of users, buyers, individuals, as well as agents can really get well educated on as an entry point into other commercial.
Yeah, I mean, that's a market, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but that's a market that's kind of untapped. Not a lot of people go into. You either have commercial or you have single family or, residential. It's the multifamily, apartment buildings, four plus, is kind of the niche that you're kind of seeing this go.
Yeah, at this point, I have other analysis for, more complicated assets such as industrial and retail specifically and things that involve a different learning skill. But that's what multifamily is, kind of that gray point of it's just a little bit too much for a mom and pop potentially, but not enough to scare them away. So they want to learn how to do it. They can learn how to do it in 10 minutes or less with our resource playbook, and they can analyze it in under 5 minutes.
Okay.
So that's why multifamily has been my focus with a lot of this, because it's really a great entry level learning. And then you build confidence from knowing that, and then we move on to other asset classes.
So what impact or transformation, Jay, has the Ready, Aim, Win approach had on your business and or people that you've taught this approach to?
It's really helped me not educate people in itself, but to really highlight the simplicity of buying stuff and analyzing. That you don't need to, I could tell somebody all day long, an agent I'm mentoring or a guy that wants to get into it for the first time and invest in multifamily, client, for instance, I could tell them, look, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. But that kind of rolls off the top of the head, because if you don't know what to even look at, you don't even know what you're overcomplicating. So what Ready, Aim, Win and the structure I put together, it's an easy illustration of how to keep it simple. Okay. Here, read these 18 pages real fast, and we'll talk in about an hour. And then their mind is kind of blown open up and said, Jesus, I didn't realize it was that simple. And by keeping it that simple, then they're ready to move on and buy something. It's really the illustration of it that's really been linchpin for me.
Awesome. So let's do it, Jay. Let's do a deep dive into this. Give our listeners, viewers, kind of a behind the scenes of your Ready, Aim, Win approach. Why don't you go ahead and share your screen here for
Sure.
our listeners. If you want to go to the Facebook page, you can watch this video and watch Jay go through the analyzer for viewers now. Here it is. So and Jay, I'm going to let you lead here. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll do this kind of just run through it as quick as it's supposed to be, because that's the whole idea. That, you can go to readyaimwinapproach.com. It's readyaimwinapproach.com, and you could go through the whole kind of information on this. We give this away for free, and essentially it is, we call it the resource playbook, okay? And it's really, this is the education process. If you roll through this, you sit down, you focus, and you turn your phone off and TV for a minute and you read this. This is perfect coronavirus material to read. It really establishes the 4 basic things you need to know to get going. One is how to speak the language. Okay, so we go through the vocabulary to determine kind of the terms and the metrics. The second is resources. Where do I go for quick and easy access to demographics, schools, locations, things like that? We provide those resources really fast. Everything is quick and simple. The third are red flag warnings, we call it, in this section of the playbook here, that are everything that I've done wrong, that I've lost tens of thousands of dollars on, and mistakes I've made, very specific mistakes. We go through a bunch of them, plus some bonus mistakes. And then the more fun at the end is the value add secrets, which goes through all the elements of things that we've, from the smallest little minute value add to a property, such as changing the turn knobs on the hose bibs, all the way up to something more major that have added tremendous value to the assets that we've experienced over time. So that's what this playbook is. It is the education point for all of that. So we go through the vocabulary, and I'll just scroll as we look, but we talk to you about your vocabulary. Let's get yourself, educated on how to talk the talk a little bit. What's gross income mean? What is vacancy, operating expenses, debt service, et cetera. Then we get into how we value multifamily properties. What are the most important metrics that are used to value? So you know how to, again, talk the language. One is return on investment. One is cap rate. We've all kind of heard these terms, but what the hell does it really mean? We give examples on how to calculate it so you can understand it. Gross rent multipliers, price per unit, price per foot. So we go through these and we go through the math real quick so you can kind of understand it. Okay. Even with those 5-6 pages alone, your head's above most people. Okay. Once you understand these 5 or 6 pages, just at the beginning of this playbook here, you're ready to go, because this is what scares people. It's the numbers, the metrics, the terms. What is effective gross income? What is net operating income, and why do they differ? And that's why I put it up front here, because people, if they want to grab it and go, read 5-6 pages, let's get on the phone and we'll buy something tomorrow afternoon. And that's it. It's that simple. Then we keep going, though. We talk about some of the resources. These dig in. We go through some rent comp resources for you, sales comps, how to get these things super fast and easy and accurate. Area statistics about making sure that you like the demos in the area that you're buying. And how to get some information on the property itself, how to dig into the zoning if you're interested in that kind of thing. Or if you find something and you want to change its use, you can dig in there. These things start getting a little deep dive, but really it's about confidence building on, I can go online, find out all this information about everything within 2-3 minutes. Next one, we go through red flag warnings. Again, I got 10 plus a bonus here, and it's warning signs. Watch out for all this stuff here. These I've lost tons of money on, and I advise you to watch your butt on all this stuff. And then the fun stuff.
Laundry income. Explain laundry income to me.
So most people blow off laundry income. Okay, most people look at a laundry thing and they look at it and they say, okay, well, they say they're bringing in, maybe $10 a month or something like that. I go in when I'm buying something, I actually audit the laundry income for 24 months. Okay, it takes an extra 30 minutes to do when you're in due diligence, but you do it, and you find 2 or 3 things out real fast. Okay, one is, do they own the laundry machines or do they lease them to a company that's doing it for them? Okay, that happens a lot. I don't know how about you, but out in your neck of the woods, but out here in LA, a lot of people do that. They have 5-6 laundry machines. They lease it out to, Verde Laundry Maintenance Company, and they buy the machines, they repair them, and they give you 50% of the income. I can unravel some of those agreements by doing certain things and create all of a sudden 50% more income on the laundry. If I add $10, $20 a month in laundry income, that equates to about $2,000 to $5,000 in value I created just by doing that. See, these are, like I said, some of these things are minute and small, but start to add up multiples on top of each other. Until at one time, there was actually a property we bought for a client, and they had 4 laundry machines. We ended up making a separate room off the side, adding 4 more, and they increased the value of their property. I think it was well over $100,000 by some of this. And we got rid of the laundry lease where they were getting only 40% of the income. So these are things that people ignore a lot of times and just assume it's correct on a rent roll somewhere. Anyway, we digressed. But then we move on to value add secrets, which is a lot of fun because this is kind of the stuff where we've made a lot of money. How to run leak checks, going tankless instead of full water heaters, low flow stuff, going solar. This is a fun story actually, which added a ton of value about locking up your hose bibs. That's what I mentioned earlier. We had a property where we were buying for a client. I think it was 10 units. Yeah, 10 units here it says, I remember it. And we noticed that the water usage at the building was like 50% more than it should be. And so we ran a leak check. We had the water company come out, all this kind of, everything's fine. Nothing's leaking everywhere. We had the whole thing checked. Everyone's scratching their heads. We haven't gone hard and non-refundable yet, so we're still out there trying to figure out what to do. We're going out at different times of the property. Well, we found out from one of the tenants who came back into town and says, "Oh, you don't know?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "The whole neighborhood washes their car in the alley with this building." It's like it was very, absentee ownership, and they're plugging in every weekend. We pulled the hose bibs off, put a lock on it, excuse me, and we added $72,000 of value to the building overnight just by doing that and cutting the water bill. You can read the math here on number 5 if you want. But again, these are small, tiny little things that if you add them up, all of a sudden you're looking at $200,000-$300,000 of value creation on an asset for doing nothing, getting a
Right.
hammer and popping off the nozzle, So we go through some others and things like that about how to renovate and some other bonus stuff here. But that's what the resource playbook is about. And again, if you're going to focus on anything, we give it away for free. If you're going to focus on anything, I recommend you focus on the first 5-6 pages. That's where the meat and where the love is.
All right, so let's go over the actual analyzer.
Sure.
So let's go through a mock deal here, mock transaction, and kind of let me know your mindset and what we're looking at here, Jay.
Sure, no problem. Tell me if I'm rattling on too long.
Hey, you're doing good.
So this is, and there's a small cost to this program, but this program was created actually in Excel because of its ease. We had it created separately in its own program, custom built, and it was just complicated.
Too cumbersome.
Way too cumbersome. And for the user, it was too cumbersome. And so that just blows one of my pillars of simplicity out the window. It was killing speed. It was taking me 15, 20 minutes to enter the data. I'm clocked on this thing at 3 minutes and 48 seconds, fully analyzed, when I have the information from a rent roll and such. So this is set up for ultimate simplicity, okay? Everything in yellow here, this is actually 3 sheets to this analyzer right here. You can see the core entries. Can you see my cursor moving?
Yep.
Okay,
Got it.
see the core entry sheet. This is the main meat of the property analysis sheet here, and then the investment results. You're only going to touch the first 2 sheets. All right, it's not going to let you touch anywhere else. You're not allowed to. Everything's locked out. But that's why we built it in Excel, even though that seems like a poor man's programming ability. It actually became the most simplistic format for me to have it programmed in. And simple to load, simple and easy to download, very just high speed. So all this is you have to enter the data, or most of the data that's in red here on the stars, okay, on this first sheet. That's must, okay, required items. You can only mess with stuff that's in the yellow here. Anything on this first sheet that's not in yellow is just for your own edification when you print this stuff out for your partners or client, okay, so they see the address of the property. Once this stuff's entered, it automatically flows onto this sheet. You can only touch stuff that's in yellow again here. You can't touch anything else. It won't let you. And then once you enter all the data, the investment result sheet's going to tell you how you did. That's it. So let's just go through a real quick deal. If you'd like, we can do that.
Absolutely.
You can go 123 Main Street, LLC, let's say the name of the property. We can enter the address if we want. Let's say we're in my hometown. Days on market, again, just for our edification, let's say it's been 150 days. Let's say they're asking $1.5 million for the property. Let's say it's 10 units, built in 1975. Building square footage, let's say it's 10,000 square feet, or 1,000 each. Say the lot's 20,000 square feet. Again, you're going to gather all this material on the broker package you get from another agent,
right?
The marketing package. Very simple. Take all that stuff as it states on there for now and do the analysis based on that information. Once we get into
I can tell you. Let me talk over you while you're filling this in.
Sure.
Okay. I can tell you, Jay does put this to use. He called me, I don't know, about a month and a half ago. So he's in California. I'm in Maryland. He's like, "What do you know about?" And it was like some liquor store or laundromat or something. He's like, "Is this in a good section of town?" I was like, "You might want to stay away from this section, Jay." I said, "This has been deteriorating for about 15 years." But he and his partners, he might have had an investor. I don't know exactly who was looking at it, but I don't think he ended up purchasing the property. But so Jay does put this to use, and it's kind of good, when you have a network. when you have friends across the country. That's why, Jay and I kind of keep in touch, and he's over there, I'm over here. You know somebody in Minnesota, you know somebody in Florida, you know somebody in Texas or Colorado, and they can say, hey, can you help me out here? So, life and for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs, all about having a group of people that you trust, that Jay knows when he calls me up or texts me and says, hey, what's the deal here? I'm going to give him an honest answer from boots on the ground. All right. So it looks like you got
No, and that
most
was
of it.
great. And it's a good point. I use this every day because we're always looking at assets like that, like I found in that corner. And if someone like you is going to say pass, I literally rip it up, toss it out, and don't look at it again. That's it. So this is the information we just entered here. You can see, it takes a couple seconds to enter. We're going to offer, the thing is $1.5 million. We kind of want to test a price of $1.35 million because that's what we'd like to pay for it. What kind of loan we're going to put down? We're going to put down $700,000, 5% interest rate, 30-year amortization on the loan. Cost us $30,000 for due diligence costs, closing costs, title, escrow, stuff like that, lawyers. And then some general information. John Snow bought it in 1975 for $500,000 back in the day. Just some historical on it, and information. That's it. So we head over to the property analysis sheet. All that stuff autofills up here, so you kind of know where, cash to close and all that stuff populates from the previous sheet. Now we go here, and this essentially is the rent roll side of the equation. These are the operating expenses. You'll notice that the debt service down here already auto-populates based on what I entered on the core data sheet. So you don't need to re-enter anything, just automatic. And so what we do is, this is a 10-unit building. We have 15 here. So what I'm going to do on this sheet, and once you essentially take advantage and grab this sheet at readyaimwinapproach.com, you can grab this sheet. There's an explanation video that's about a 10-minute video that explains every step of the way here, how to work the sheets in case you need it. But we're going to get rid of 5 of the sheets here because we just have a 10-unit building. So that's how we do that. This is the unit configuration. Let's just say, for sake of speed here, that they're all 2+1s, 2-bedroom, 1-bath units. Let's say the rent on each one of these, we're in LA, so 2-bedroom units are going to be about $1,800 a month, but I'll say $1,500. So I don't offend anybody too much in the other parts of the country. And then on market rents, again, we go back to our Ready Aim resource playbook, and we could pull up some rental comps real quickly with some of the resources in the free resource playbook. And let's say we found that actually market rents are about $1,700 a unit here. So that's going to be our excitement later on.
Okay.
Other tenant chargebacks, let's say none. We all inclusive here. There's no parking income. LA, sometimes you get parking income in this part of Southern California. Laundry, we talked about earlier. Let's say it's a couple $100 a month. Let's say it have some storage income, and there's other income categories here. So this auto-populates everything, balances it out. Vacancy factor, I had a minimum, and we get into this in the resource playbook too about assumptions that I make, but generally I don't estimate anything under 5% vacancy factor for the whole property. So this is my effective gross income here. Then I get into my expenses here. Out in LA, we're at about 1.25% tax. This tax amount is based on my purchase price, my offer price. It's all populated. And then I'm taking these numbers from the broker package. 3,000 insurance, 5,000 electricity is going to be a little less. Water and sewer is going to be about 5,000. These are just kind of standard expenses we see all the time for this kind of a building out here in LA. Waste management, 5,000 for repair and maintenance. Pest is going to be about $1,000 a year. Landscaping, about $1,800 a year. You just keep going down. If you're in rent control, you can enter that. This is made for any location. Management fee is going to be at least 5%. That all populates based on the income. If you have payroll expenses, marketing, general and administrative, all that stuff, so you can allocate in here automatically for yourself. Reserves, I usually reserve at least 500 a unit a year, which is what puts in there. And I'm done. So that fully analyzes this particular property in total, from income, vacancy, operating expenses, my debt service. And at the end of the day, I should expect on a monthly basis currently, this is current monthly, this is projected. My current monthly is going to be about $6,400 or $77,000 a year in cash flow. That's great.
Okay.
My projected is up at about $91,000. So if I go to my investment results, I look at it up here in this box. This is what you want to pay attention to. Essentially, my return going into this property is about over 11%, projected 13.5. My cap rate of purchase is a 9, which is impossible to find in LA, but this is just an example, going up to a little over a 10. And again, all of these metrics, first 5-6 pages of the resource playbook getting the vocabulary so you understand it. That's why I always say get into the first 5-6 pages before anything else. And we talk about all these factors here. So this is a snapshot on how I'm going to do with the asset. Now, the good thing about this, now I can do a sensitivity, we call it sensitivity analysis, where I could say, you know what, I think I can go as high as $1,425,000 on this thing. I'll bet my proposed offer price, and everything will auto calculate again and say, okay, well, my return went down a little bit to 10 and to 12 in the future. So that's how you can just play with the numbers a little bit just by kind of altering it. The good thing about this now is I could just print this out, send it to my partners, send it to my lenders, done. It's not a double entry kind of thing. You're finished.
And you fully analyzed the deal within 10 minutes.
Yeah, because we were just chatting. I've done this in under close to 3.5 minutes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what is the number one takeaway, number one advantage, number one thing in your business that your approach has benefit you?
I think in two ways. One is the accuracy of the information is a one-shot deal. It's prepared, it's finished, and like I said, I use it for my lenders, my partners, my clients, if it's for a client, investors, and I also use it during my due diligence process. So this is my, is this PG or can I use a curse word?
You use a curse word.
This is where I kind of like my sheet here is what I use now in due diligence to call bullshit on all the numbers when I get there. So this becomes my due diligence sheet as well. So there's this kind of single entry point for all data. Second is that it allows me to win deals over the competition by far because I'm able to get the agent on the phone in 10 minutes.
So when in the process do you run through the analyzer?
First.
Is it the first thing you do? Okay.
First thing I do.
Okay.
So within the first 10 minutes of getting an offering memorandum or any sort of information from the agent, within 10 minutes, this is analyzed. And I can get back on the phone with the broker 5 minutes after that and say, let's offer.
Awesome.
If it's an out-of-state agent, then I'll use an out-of-state agent for that.
Awesome. Jay, I appreciate you sharing your ready, aim, win approach with 4 entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs today. Listeners, viewers, go to readyaimwinapproach.com. And Jay, if anybody wanted to talk to you, find out more information, I know that's the best website, but are there other ways to get a hold of you?
I always say call or text me.
Okay.
Best way to do it, 310-849-2282. 310-849-2282. Very few people give out their phone numbers, but I just would rather.
Right.
I love talking.
That you do. That's why you're the stand-up realtor.
Love you, baby.
Love you, man. All right. Listeners, viewers, Jay Lieberman, episode 3 of 4 Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs, and we are out.